So like whenever I record a video, this is head bobbing. Whenever I record a video, it always takes me like 5 tries to find the right groove. And so I'm just sitting here stalling because I'm like, I'm gonna have to start and stop like 5 times. And so I'm just sitting here now, just kind of bopping to music in my head, like, I'm scared to start because I'm scared to mess up. Because like in my last video talking about setbacks, I talked about like I have this decision paralysis and like this fear of like, what's the point of doing something if I'm gonna mess it up? And so then I just don't do it. But like I told myself I was gonna do this, so here we are, we're gonna do it. Okay, here we are. Hi, how are you today? Oh, that is way too peppy. That is way too peppy for me. Okay, give me a second. Hello, hi, hello, welcome to my channel. If you are new, welcome back if you've been here before. Very glad to have you. I'm actually in a pretty good mood today. My video last week was about setbacks, which some of which are still in place. I'm still having, still kind of things are on the uphill, but I'm in a good mood today, which is actually incredible considering the last 3 days that I've had. It's been crazy, but we're not here to talk about that today. What I actually want to talk about today is... Actually, I'm going to do a little show and tell. Do you guys mind if I do a little show and tell? I can't hear what you say, so it doesn't matter. I'm just going to do it anyway. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to title this video, but it's going to be something along the lines of like how I became Song W. Erickson, or the story of my pen name, or something like that. So... we're going to get there. And all of this has a point. I just need you to follow me for a little bit. So we're going to start with some show and tell. I'm going to start telling you a story, and then I'm going to tie it all together. Okay? So just follow me here and bear with me. And like, I'm in a good mood, like I said, and unfortunately, I'm usually so mellow and low key that when I'm in a good mood by comparison, I seem hyper. And I'm just going to apologize for that. I'll do my best not to come off as totally crazy here. I'll do my best. But I also can't make too many promises. Okay. So, show and tell first. I'm a bit on the outs with the Disney company at this moment. I'm not happy with some of the decisions they've made, yada yada. I'm a tiny voice against a very large corporation. I'm not happy with Disney at the moment. However, if you know me, you know I love the princesses. I love the princesses so much. Huge part of my life during some of the worst times of my life, the princesses were like what kept me going. And at some point in my 20s, I started collecting stickers. And specifically, like, it was Disney princess stickers. And, like, right now, these are the really big ones that I've had these for, like, 12 years. I think, just because, like, I don't really know what to do with them. And, like, these all came out of sticker books. I would buy, like, I'd go to Walmart or Amazon or whatever, and I'd buy those sticker and activity books you see. And eventually I got to the point where I'm like, if it's less than 1,000 stickers, I don't care. Which is how I ended up with so many little stickers that are just like, oh, here's a jewel or whatever. Anyway. But yeah, I'm using the big ones right now so you can see them. But like most of them are smaller. And like most of what I have are Disney princesses. I do have How to Train Your Dragon. I think I bought like 4 or 5 How to Train Your Dragon sticker books, by which I mean it was 4 or 5 copies of the same book because it was the only one that had stickers of a certain character in it. But we're gonna get there. Unfortunately, all the stickers of that character are gone. I used them. It just made myself sad. I always kind of planned to hang on to at least one of them, and I don't even remember what I used the last one for. It was just in the last couple years. Yeah, I used to have a pen pal where like we would just cover our letters with stickers when we sent them to each other. And like that's part of how I justified accumulating so many. Um, and like my stickers have been extremely influential for me. That's actually a really good way to put it. Um, like just for emphasis, like, to show you just how much my stickers have influenced my way of life and just my whole journey. So one day I'm going through my stickers and I'm sorting them out, and I I don't want to use that one as an example. I want to use this one. I picked one up, and it was Merida from Pixar's Brave, and I picked up another one. Well, now I have to reveal the name of the character. So I picked up one of my stickers of Eret from How to Train Your Dragon 2, the Dragon Trapper. And I'm looking at these stickers. I'm looking at Merida and I'm looking at Eret, and I'm like, and I was already writing fan fiction for Rise of the Brave Tangled Dragons at this point, which is like the Rise of the Guardians, How to Train Your Dragon, Tangled, and Brave crossover. I was already writing fan fiction for that, in particular for like Jack and Rapunzel. But I looked at the sticker of Merida and the sticker of Eret, and I'm like, these two would actually work really well together. And I think I spent the next year just obsessed with them as a ship. And then the thing is, and this is an important note we're coming back to later, because I was developing Eret for the fan fictions I was writing, and I was drawing him a lot for fan art, I was like, I really like this character. I really like this character. Oh, when you take away the cartoonish features, he's really hot. Screaming, but daddy, I love him. Like before this, my big crush was on Thor from the MCU, so like Eret was not a huge leap, if that makes sense. But yeah, I was like, oh, those two would be a great couple. And so I just started writing fan fiction of them, and I developed a huge crush on Eret, which like I met my boyfriend in like the height of that. And so pretty much since the day we met, he's been teasing me about that. Some of you already kind of know where this is going, and you might be looking at things and putting pieces together, but like we're gonna get there. Another example is I actually had to really go looking for this one. They developed or they designed a whole set of like alternate outfits for a bunch of the princesses. And so this is Merida's winter outfit. And I don't know if the sticker is showing clearly, so I'll probably put up, it's actually really hard to find HD art of this outfit, unfortunately. Disney, I need you to do better about that. I love this outfit so much. It actually inspired, there was a story idea I had that I never wrote, but I drew a bunch of art of it, which I'm gonna show like now. But it was this idea for an alternate universe story where Dunbrock was attacked. You know, Merida's kingdom was attacked, and she had to leave, and so she ended up stowing away on a ship of dragon trappers. And this was called My Dragon Trapper AU. But Merida met Eret and became part of his crew, and it's some of my best art that I've ever done. Like, it was right before I transitioned from traditional art to digital, and I still look at some of this art and I feel like it's better than anything I've done today in some ways. Again, I'll show it on the screen because I'm really proud of this stuff. But yeah, no, the outfit I designed for that was entirely based around the winter outfit from this one particular sticker set. And if I hadn't found this set of stickers at the dollar store, I probably wouldn't have designed that. Probably still would have come up with the idea for the AU, but it's one of my favorite outfits that I've ever designed, quite frankly. And I've designed a lot of outfits for characters, but like that's still my favorite. So now we're going to transition to the next part of the video, which again, bear with me, I promise I'm going to tie all this together. Back in the day when I was on Tumblr, there was always these posts of like, oh, what's what's something about you that like your followers might find interesting? And one of them, of course, was what's the story of your username? And I don't know if this is common or if it happens the same way nowadays. Of once you'd been on the internet for a few years, you had kind of like gone through a couple different usernames and you'd found one that was like you, and it was like just the name that you chose or the name that just kind of stuck for whatever reason. And I always found that fascinating. And I also think there's something kind of magical about that as well, about being able to choose your identity in a way, and also like to have your identity evolve until it fits just right, if that makes sense. So like I don't think it's even if you're not someone who really knows me, um I don't think it's too much of a surprise that Song is not my real name. Part of that is just because I was a young millennial on the internet in the 2000s and the early 2010s, when it was like, you don't give people online your information, your personal information. And I am still shocked every time I see someone online who just uses their full name, their full government name, as their online handle. Why would you do that? That's just crazy to me. Like, here's the thing. My real name also has family baggage, let's say. And it never fit right because of like how I got the name and stuff like that. And because it came from a parent that I don't know, that I never actually met. I think about the time I was 10 or 11. I was like, this name does not fit. I don't like it. I don't like being called it. I just, it didn't work for me. So I'm like, I went to school one day and I'm like, can you guys just call me this? And it was Thunder. Um, it, yes, I know it's dramatic and it's ostentatious and it's a lot, but like, come on. So yeah, I became Thunder for the rest of that school year. And because I was new at that school and they'd only known me a few weeks by the time I changed my name to that, everyone got used to it and that was just what they knew me as. And the faculty called me that. And this was a smaller private school. Because my uncle was a teacher there and because my mom really hates public education, it's a whole thing. I'm not even going into it. But because of that, like, we were able to get a scholarship to go to the school. And so it was a much smaller private school and it was a very different climate and environment than a public school. So it's like, yeah, no, there were only like 7 or 8 teachers total and a few people in like the front office who ran it. So it's like, yeah, everyone knew me as Thunder. Until that summer break, when my uncle went to the other teachers during the meeting and said, I don't think we should call her Thunder anymore. And you want to know how he explained this to me? The reason was, he said, I had not earned that name. That a name like Thunder is a name that means I have arrived. And you haven't earned it yet. I want you to look at me just for a second. I want you to look at me and hear how I talk. And I want you to tell me that the name Thunder doesn't suit me. As ostentatious and tween as it was to choose that name, tell me that name does not suit me, even to this day. 24 years later. 24 years later? Yeah, 24 years later. Tell me that name does not suit me. Listen to my voice and how I talk. Now, at the time, My mom and my stepdad had just gotten divorced, and we had moved to a new place where I had no friends, and my classmates were all bullying me, and I was the odd man out in everything. And I was a child in the early 2000s who was overweight, which he really was not happy about. And it's like, yeah, I was going through a hard time, and my mother was not supporting that I had hit puberty and was too focused on her own problems to help me out at all. Like, was I not loud enough at that time? Is that why I did not deserve that name? I don't know. I don't see. This is why when it comes to things like pronouns, right, and preferred names, I'm just like, call people what they want to be called. Just fuck it. Just call them what they want to be called. It's not gonna hurt you, and I quite frankly don't really care how you feel about it. Just call people what they want to be called. I didn't mean to spend quite so much time on that, but as you can tell, that was an influential moment on my life. So, thankfully, because pretty much everyone just knew me by Thunder already, a lot of people just kept calling me that, because, you know, that was just the habit they were in. I hope he was seething every time he heard it. I'm not in contact with that uncle anymore. At this point, I'm not in contact with, like, any family except for my sister at this point. But yeah, no. I could do a whole story time about my relationship with my uncle and why I finally decided to change my number so he could not contact me. And, like, obviously, it's a very emotional story, but I would still try to make it fun. I might do that if anyone's interested, honestly. I might. Anyway, so most people just kept calling me that anyway. And again, I hope he seethed every time he heard it. I hope it burned. But let's see. Then a few years later, I think I was about 14, was when I got into manga and anime. Shocking. And I wanted to learn Japanese. I'm not saying I was good at learning Japanese, but I wanted to, and I did try. So, because, like, I'd been in my Spanish classes in school, it was like, oh, here's, you know, you get a native name for immersion. And I, being a little weeb at the time, was like, well, I want a Japanese name. And I chose Kaede. And that was when we'd first moved to Seattle. And so I had a new school and new people around. And it was pretty easy to say, hey, just call me Kaede. To this day, like, the last time I lived in Idaho, which is where the whole Thunder thing happened, there are still people who are like, oh, is your name this or Thunder? And it's like, both works. Up to you, pretty much. I don't go by Thunder anymore, but, like, if someone called me that, I would respond. Let's see. I was Kaede for a few years, I think. And then I got online. And that was when I discovered usernames. And I don't remember what my first email address was. I've tried to remember. I'm probably glad I don't. It was probably really embarrassing because I remember what my second email was. And I'm not saying what it was because that was too embarrassing. I'm not saying it. Can't make me. So yeah, I had that. I'm pretty sure there was a third email that I don't remember now when I first switched over to Gmail. And when I say switched over to Gmail, at that time it was still invitation only. I don't even know how the friend I got an invitation from got his invitation, but yeah, no. I was on Gmail when it was invitation only, and when there was still this little ticker at the bottom where it was like, oh, you have this much storage available. And it was like always going up. I think about that every time Google tries to make me pay for cloud storage. And like, I'm well aware, like, email storage and cloud storage are very different. It's fine, I get it. But I still think about it. I still think about when, like, one of the perks was like, oh, you have virtually unlimited space and it's always growing. And no, we don't have that anymore. No, now you just want our money. Thanks, Google, whatever. As I post this to YouTube. Okay, so where were we? Yes. So I got online. I don't remember what my first Gmail address was. The second one was Dark Tenyo, which was as a reference to the Sarah Celestial Legend manga. And a year or so later, I made a new Gmail, and I don't use any of these anymore. I'm pretty sure they've been closed, so, like, you're not getting anything on me. You can't sign this email. Even if you were to sign this email up for, like, spam, I can't access the account, even if it were still there. So, like, you're not pulling anything over on me or something like that. But yeah, then it was Blood Red X for a while, which was, it was a Rurouni Kenshin reference. That didn't age well. That did not age well. I really enjoyed that manga, though. It's a shame about the creator. That was so disappointing to find out. Anyway, so let's see, what came after Blood Red X? I was Blood Red X for that's when we get to the actual important part of the story, because, like, we are getting somewhere with this. Okay, it's all coming together, I promise. So then I was Blood Red X for a while, and then that was about the time my mother started getting really religious. And she was really on that whole, there's a bizarre connection between, like, MLMs and religion. And she got into MLMs and then started going to one of those coaches that was supposed to help you do it better. And that coach in particular turned out to be really gung-ho on the religious stuff. So, like, she would have these weekend conferences, and then every Saturday night of the conference would be like 4 or 5 hours of preaching. And that's where my mother learned how to preach. I have several grievances with this particular coach, but the main one is she taught my mother how to preach. And my life has been miserable ever since. But another story for another time. So my mom started getting really religious, and I got into it as well. And so I was like, oh, well, Blood Red X, that's too negative. And this was even before what came out about the creator of Rurouni Kenshin. I'm like, okay, well, that's too negative. I need something else. And I'm like, okay, well, what am I into right now? Well, I like music, and I like Kingdom Hearts. And because I was, he who Christ sets free is free indeed, or whatever the scripture is, I was like, okay, well, free. Song of a Free Heart. This was a defining moment for me when I came up with the Song of a Free Heart name. So I became Song of a Free Heart, made a new email address, made a new fanfiction.net account under that name, and that was also when I made Tumblr. And so my Tumblr was Song of a Free Heart originally. And that was the first time in my life I ever had an online community. It was great. Oh my god, I missed that. And I was writing The Rise of the Brave Tackle Dragons fanfics, like I talked about before. And I wrote a space opera that was quite popular, considering it was a very niche fandom. And like it was one of the first times where I really felt like I was good at writing, and people would talk about it as it came out chapter by chapter, and I'd get reviews, and was there fan art? I think like one or two people did fan art. It wasn't a lot, but you know, it's something. I was so happy. I was so happy in that fandom. Then Frozen had to come out and ruin everything. Bleh. Stupid Elsa. Because Song of a Free Heart is a bit of a mouthful, people started calling me Song. Because that just made sense. You see where this is starting to come together now? Cool. So yeah, I became known as Song. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I love to sing. I love music. That fits. And I was just really happy with that. And it was also like the first time I ever really had a nickname. So that was nice. I enjoyed that. And so like as the whole fan fiction thing started to wind down and the fandom was getting smaller, and it was a natural dying out process. It happens with every fandom that isn't getting new source material to work with. It happens. It sucks, but it happens. So because things were dying down, I started to think about like, okay, well, I want to go back to doing original writing again, and I want to get back to my goal of publishing. And I'm like, okay, well, at the time I'd had an idea for what I wanted my pen name to be, which was just going to be my initials and my last name, and I was going to have people call me by my first initial. If you go to my old channel, which is Song of a... That's the other thing. My first YouTube channel was also Song of a Free Heart, and I did very poor quality makeup looks inspired by comic book characters, and that channel is still there. I posted a video there last month, but if you want to go check that out and see what that's all about, you can do that there. But so I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, well, I thought this was going to be my pen name, but at this point, one, people know me as Song, and two, I really like the name Song, so I think I need to build a new pen name around Song. And this is where we come back to the stickers. So in one particular sticker book that Disney put out of the princesses, there was a series, a collection, I don't know, but there were a bunch of stickers that were like the initials of the princesses. And so it's like you'd have an R for Rapunzel, an M for Merida, T for Tiana. So I'm thinking about this. I'm like, okay, how do I build a pen name around Song? Like, what do I do with that? And then I picked up this sticker. And I don't know. Okay, there we go. The hands help you see it. So the sticker says SW, and obviously that's for Snow White. And I'm looking at it. And remember how I said that my sticker collection has been surprisingly influential in my life? So I'm looking at it. And I'm like, well, S, Song, W. I can do something with that. I can work with that. So I went through and I made a list of a bunch of W names that would work as like a last name. And I think I spent like 2 weeks building this list and just process of elimination going through it. And finally, I settled on Winters. And my pen name became Song Winters. And that's still what the W stands for. It is not just a random W in my name now. But you remember how I said I developed a huge crush on Aerith from How to Train Your Dragon 2? Screaming, but Daddy, I love him. Pathetic. I was in my 20s when I did this, okay? The fact that I'm willing to tell you this, despite the fact it's kind of embarrassing, and I still won't tell you that second email address I made, that should tell you just how embarrassing that second email address was. But yeah, so I was like, okay, but what if because, you know, it was actually kind of common of like fangirls would take the last name of a character they had a crush on and put it in their username. Just as like, oh, I'm married to this character. And like it was all cute and it was in good fun and stuff. And I'm like, okay, what if I did that? What if I took, you know, his name is Eret, son of Eret. So by, you know, Scandinavian naming conventions, that would become Eret Eretson. And so I decided to add the Eretson to my pen name. And that is how I became Song W. Eretson. Because of a sticker. There was a point last year when I was going through a lot of things where I thought about rebranding. I thought about dropping the Eretson at least and going back to Song Winters. I thought about coming up with a whole different pen name. I thought about, you know, rebuilding my identity from scratch online. And then I stopped and I'm like, this is a name that it is me, if that makes sense. It's built on fandoms that I was in and things I loved and crushes I had.
Pathetic.
I talked about how like the reason I first started changing my name was because my real name didn't fit. And like I've gotten used to my real name. I started working when I was 16, and so like I had to start using it on legal forms and I had to start using it at work. And this was before there was the idea of preferred names and stuff like that. And you know, I had to kind of accept that part of myself. And I've gotten used to it. It fits better now. It's not as uncomfortable as it was when I was younger. That is something. The whole point is that like this is an identity that I built for myself, and I'm not going to let someone else take that away. So, yeah. And it's I guess that's kind of the whole point of this video. Was like this is the story of how I became who I am, and I'm not going to let anyone take that away from me. I'm not going to let anyone scare me away from who I am and what I want to do. Not anymore. 2025 was a really difficult year that hit me like a fucking freight train. And it, you know, what? One of my first videos back, I called it Coming Out of My Cave. And there's a reason I called it that. Like, it's a reference to Mr. Brightside by the Killers. Because when I was making that video, that line kept running through my head. And, like, the rest of the song, no application to, like, what I've been going through. But that one line, I'm like, oh, that feels right. That feels like the best metaphor I could think of for how I feel, you know, starting to post videos again. And so I'm like, okay, we're just going to call the video that and hope it doesn't come off too weird because I couldn't think of what else to call it, right? I think I'm going to wrap this up here because I'm rambling and my phone is starting to tell me that I'm running out of space. So, okay, let's wrap this up. All right. I don't know what my next video is going to be. Next Saturday, I'm filming this on Sunday. It's going up on Wednesday, but next Saturday, which is going to be the 31st, I will have my first shift back at my seasonal office job, and it's going to be 10 hours long. So I might have to find some other time to record other than Sunday because I'm probably going to be exhausted. Anyway, I will figure that out. That is my problem to deal with. But yeah, all right. Thank you for coming to my story time / show and tell and all that. And thank you for listening to me ramble here at the end. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you liked it, please consider giving it a like. And if you want to hear more of what I have to say, I could do other story times. Maybe subscribe and let me know down in the comments. Yeah, but until next time, I am Song W. Eretson, and stay safe, take care, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye. You didn't think I was going to talk about my sticker collection and, like, not show the whole collection, did you? Okay, so here is the SW sticker, like I showed in the video, and of course the Winter Merida one. I still love that outfit. I have other How to Train Your Dragon ones mixed in, but these are the ones that I just kind of pulled out while I was staging this. I really like this one because if you look closely, you can see that Toothless actually has both tail fins, which is something we never even get to see in the movies. And then there's Hiccup and Astrid again, and various dragon symbols, and there's Cloud Jumper, and a bunch of princess stuff, and some random ones of like all different sizes, and yeah, so many stickers. I have no idea what I'm gonna do with all of these. These are more recent. I think I got these about a year ago. It's some Sanrio stickers with Hello Kitty, Kuromi, and My Melody. I want more of those. I just want more Sanrio stickers because, like, at this point, I'm still kind of scared to use these just because, like, then they'll be gone, and like I don't want them to all be gone. And then these, I'm sorry, these are specifically from the artist Fallen Sky, and she was absolutely wonderful enough to gift these to me and a couple others that I've already used. But yeah, she gifted these to me like right when I moved last year, so I was going through a rough time, and I cannot thank her enough. But yeah, I absolutely love her art, and it's so soft and pretty, and I love having these. These will, of course, get used, and then I'll have an excuse to buy some more from her. These are just like random sheets of stuff. I think I bought 2 of this pack, hence why I have some doubles. And then some Valentines and Frozen stuff that I got last year. And these... Okay, these ones are kind of special. These are mine. These are... Let me crouch down because this is actually hurting my back. So this is Hammond. These are actually stickers that I made with, of course, my characters and my art. And my mom had just gotten a Cricut machine and wanted me to figure out how to make it work. So I was like, okay, then I will just use my own stuff and make stickers of that, hence why I have so many of these. But yeah, my OC's Hammond, Madeline, Runa, and Runa again, and of course the rose sigil that I drew for the story for my Calidus Chronicles series. Something I would love to do is like make and sell stickers with my art. So like these are just kind of a preview for that, and it's like it makes me happy seeing them, and it makes me happy using them. It also just kind of reminds me of like what I want to achieve, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's the sticker collection. So thank you for coming to my show and tell.